Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our new episode of The Caregiver's Voice. Hoping that you are having an easy time finding it now that we are also available on Spotify. Thank you all for joining our group, for your comments and shares on your post and your insight as well. It's greatly appreciated. Today, I want to discuss day-to-day activities, how you manage your day-to-day activities while caring for someone, whether you have part-time help at home or you're the full-time caregiver. I'm thinking specifically of things like taking them to a doctor's appointment, getting your home ready in the morning, who gets up and does breakfast. I'm thinking that some of the people that are being cared for normally would have a certain level of desire to participate in life, wanting to help out around the house, or just being able to be included in what goes on in your daily life. And the reason I'm wanting to discuss this is because I'm thinking of all the small details that go into account when caring for a loved one. For example, going to a doctor's appointment. One of the things that I found sincerely challenging, especially here in the US, and I don't know if it's a US versus Europe, but it is staying on top of these appointments, making sure not only that you have them added to your calendar, of course, but that you're constantly checking the place where the appointments are done, because we've learned in the past that sometimes they get moved without notifying. And so all the time and involvement that it took you to get your loved one ready to this appointment is now wasted. But going back to what it takes to get that person ready, or your day-to-day process from the moment you get up, does your loved one help you with breakfast? Or do they have the energy or the time to do it? So, for example, we get up in the morning, make breakfast, take care of our pet. Then looking at the calendar, of course, and realizing what doctor's appointments may or may not be. It's getting our loved one ready, making sure they're showered, teeth brushed, makeup done if it applies to someone who wears makeup, or hair done, the clothing normally we prepared the night before. All these things that get into that go into taking care of someone going out, just like you would yourself. But these are things that you don't really think about because you know how to take care of yourself. If you're running late to work or to school, and you didn't get a chance to put makeup on, then you kind of figure out that's on me, but maybe I can put makeup on the train, or maybe I can hopefully not while you're driving but get into the bathroom at the location I'm going really quick and put a little bit of makeup on. But these are not things, at least not in our case, that we do that way. There's a lot of planning that goes into getting that person ready. Does your loved one still have the desire or the energy to participate in some of these chores? Because chores are not fun, but I know that in our case, there's the desire of doing dishes while I do the bathroom and the laundry, and another one in my family will do the cooking and the cleaning. I mentioned this in one of my other posts on LinkedIn about helping, what you can do to help a caregiver. And these are the things that we don't realize. You're hungry. Yeah, you can do takeout, but how many times a week do you want to do takeout, and how much is that costing you? Yeah, you may have a housekeeper. Hey, if you're lucky enough to be able to pay a housekeeper, kudos to you. We don't. So it's all these things that need to be taken into account that I think we just ignore. Because if I'm hungry and I don't want to cook something, I'll find a way, I'll go across the street, I'll go get Starbucks and whatever, but it adds up. So, what do you do in your situation? This is a little bit more extreme. I was thinking about this last night, and a quick short story I want to share. Over, God, it's got to be 15, 20 years ago, I once knew a woman who was in her, I would say, early, mid 70s. These are people that came from wealth. A woman who was very stubborn. She was incredibly sweet with me, but she was tough as nails. Not the sweet, lovey-dovey, puppy type of person. If anything, it was the complete opposite. I don't know what her ailment was. I still don't. I'm guessing she's long passed away. But I remember that she had a hospital bed in her home. She had an oxygen tubey tank in her home that she wore the whole time. She laid in bed the entire time. In order to get her mobilized, she used a wheelchair. She had round-the-clock nurses taking care of her. And I don't know if she had any dementia, but I know that she would give the nurses jewelry, then forget, and then accuse them of stealing, which of course the family knew she did this, so they wouldn't be shocked or accusatory. But I'm bringing her up because, of course, being in bed the entire time, unmovable, I'm guessing there was a lot of water retention and weight retention. So she was, I wouldn't even consider her big, but a little bit above the thin size. She must have been a size maybe 12 or so. And so getting her out of bed and putting her on a wheelchair was such a struggle and such a hassle that basically she never really went out. She would just lay in bed the whole time, bored to tears. But she had such a strong willful power that, of course, when I would go and visit, she was just all of fun jokes and wanted to hear all my stories, even though it was just life, me telling her about my day, but to her it was exciting. And basically, she was only mobilized out of her home on very high holidays. Getting her clothing was almost impossible. Things had to be made specially for her. Getting measurements from her took 3 people holding her for about a period of, 10, 15 seconds, sit her down and getting her up again. So these are things that I don't think everyone can relate to unless they have been around someone with a disability or older or just not capable of looking after themselves. So it's funny, I thought about that story yesterday, and I understand how, this is a side note, how important it is to feel loved, how important it is for people to visit you, how important it is to have human connections. And of course, that applies to us caregivers as well. And that is the goal of what we're doing here. So I'm interested in knowing your process. I would love to know how you get on, what it is that you do. I would love to learn from you and just kind of share our process and see who maybe also can learn or get inspired by what we're doing. Thank you guys so very much for joining today. Thanks for listening. And I hope that the content that I'm providing is useful. And feel free to leave feedback for me. I'm open to listening to your point of view. Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful week ahead.